Hello and welcome. It's our Sunday gathering number 134. I'm Sandra Champlain. I'm joined here by my friends Kerry McLeod, Philip Dykes, and Darren Wynn. Yes, for the past 134 weeks, we have been together at this time, whether it's on a Sunday or Monday morning, to just bring some inspiration, some love in that community. We are all over the world for our Sunday gathering, but we are really all together. Our hearts are connected. So we are a family. I couldn't be more grateful that you are here with us. Each week we have a theme, and I'm going to pass it over to Kerry to explain more.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Welcome to everybody. I know you're putting in the chat box where you're from. It's lovely for us to find out where you're from in your different countries and towns across the world. Today's theme for the Sunday gathering is Have a Voice. A thing that many of us take for granted, regardless of which language we speak, whether it is in Braille, whether it is in sign, or whether it is by vocal cords. We all have a voice. And all around the world, there are people having voices heard, and there are people having their voices not heard as loudly as they feel they should. Now, this isn't about the situations in other countries where voices aren't heard, but we want to acknowledge that that's taking place. But today is about you. Today is about your voice, what that matters, how that matters, what that says, and about you being heard. But in order to be heard, you first need to know what your voice is. You first need to know what makes you tick, what you're passionate about, what you shy away from, and then stand up bold and speak your truth. So today is about giving you some examples of how you might be able to find your voice moving forward, or confirm how you have already found your voice. So I'm going to pass to our friend Darren to open in prayer.
Thank you for that introduction, Kevin. Yes, what a wonderful theme. Sometimes it's nice to spend time in ourselves and actually look at ourselves. So if you'd all like to close your eyes and join me for the opening prayer. To our dear friends, helpers and loved ones of the unseen world, we come together here once again as joyous, unique individuals that we are. We come together from across the globe under that banner of We Don't Die for our Sunday gathering, for the joy and celebration of uniting the two worlds together as one. As we join together here today as friends, brothers and sisters, we do so coming from different countries across our globe. We come together speaking different languages and different dialects, and we come together from different backgrounds and different understandings. And we understand and accept that we all have our own unique voice to be heard. But today we put all our daily lives to one side and we cast away our own wants, our own needs and our own desires. And we come together in that oneness for the good of all. As we enter into this gathering, we do so with no demands or no expectations, but allow our workers to be free and open, to share the voice of that world we call unseen, and to share the thoughts and words of those helpers and loved ones in that world we call unseen. Each and every one of us here today finds an absolute pleasure to walk side by side with that world we call unseen, to be of service to the best of our ability in any way we can, and we hope we can truly do you proud. As we enter into this Sunday gathering, as always, we do so with nothing but love and joy within our hearts and our minds, so we can create the perfect meeting grounds for our worlds to truly unite together as one. And we ask that that healing light continues to shine across all four corners of our world to help share that joy, that happiness and that love with all those hearts and minds that may be in need at this time. So without further ado, my friends, we welcome you here today. Amen. Okay, I'm going to go into the reading and share a little story with you. It's called A Meeting of Minds. Martin was returning to work in his London office after spending 2 weeks with his brother over in New York. He was coming back with a heavy heart. It was not just that it was the end of a wonderful holiday. It was not just that he was invariably suffering badly from jet lag. It was that Monday mornings always began with a team meeting, and over the months he had grown to despise them. Martin was aware that colleagues approached these meetings with hidden agendas. They indulged in game playing, and he knew that people were not being honest and open. The meetings themselves were bad enough, but then there was all the moaning afterwards, the usual people saying the usual things. I could have improved on that idea, but I wasn't going to say. I was thinking of making a suggestion, but I couldn't be bothered. As this morning's meeting began, Martin braced himself for the usual moroseness and monotony, but as the meeting progressed, he became aware of a strange background noise. At first, he thought that he was still hearing the engine noise from the aircraft that had brought him back to London. He had had to sit over the wing and the droning was terrible, but as he concentrated on the noise, it became a little clearer. He realised, to his amazement, that he could hear what his colleagues were thinking, as well as what they were saying. As he concentrated still harder, he found that he could actually hear what they were thinking at the same time as they were speaking. What surprised him even more than the acquisition of his strange power was that he discovered that what people were saying was not really what they were thinking. They were not making clear their reservations. They were not supporting views which they thought might be unpopular. They were not contributing their new insights. They were not volunteering their new ideas. Martin found it impossible not to respond to his new knowledge. So he started to make gentle interventions based more on what he could hear his colleagues thinking than on what they could hear them saying. So John, are you really saying? Susan, do you really think that? Tom, have you got an idea on how we could take this forward? He was aware that his colleagues were unsettled by how insightful were these interventions. They looked at him mystified. In truth, he felt rather proud of his newly acquired talent. Emboldened now, Martin forgot his usual misery at participating in such meetings and began making comments of his own. However, he became aware that some of his colleagues were looking at him quizzingly. One or two even had a gentle smile playing on their lips. Only gradually did it dawn on him. They could hear his thoughts, and he was not really saying what he was thinking. As the meeting progressed, Martin became aware of changes to the tone and the style of the event. It was clear to him now that one by one, each member of the meeting was learning how to hear the thoughts of all the others, and this was subtly changing how they interacted with one another. The game playing started to fall away. People started to speak more directly. Views became better understood. The atmosphere became more open and trusting. The meeting ended, and as people left the room, Martin found that he could still hear what they were thinking. That was the best meeting we've ever had. All meetings should be like that. In future, I'm going to say what I think, as everyone deserves to have their true voice heard. Thank you. I'm going to hand you to Kerry.
Thank you very much, Dan. That's a lovely reading. And it falls straight into what having a voice is about speaking up when we're sometimes not sure about what our own voice is. It's about sharing that and having an empowered feeling about doing that. Healing is having a voice. Healing is about allowing yourself to speak on behalf of who you care for, what you think, where you would like the power of healing to go to. But actually, having a voice for healing goes a bit further as well. Have you ever had somebody that you'd wish you'd said something extra to them before their departure from this physical world? Have you ever had somebody who you thought they might have wanted to say something to you before their departure from this physical world? When we enter into that healing power, that voice can be heard. That voice can be heard beyond anything in the physical world. It can be felt. And people might say, how can you feel something that you hear. It's called knowing. How many of you remember the sound of somebody you care about's voice, and you just know what they would laugh at, or you know what they would say if they were still here in the physical world? Healing brings you to that place where you know that your loved ones are around you. And when you send healing around the world to those that matter to you, to pets, to animals, to the earth, you know that that healing is being taken because your voice matters. Your voice in the moments to come will be about sending that healing. We're going to come together in healing to a song sung by a group of children, and it's called I Have a Voice. The topic of that song is something specific, but the message covers so many different areas. So as you head into our healing, send your healing thoughts out to those that need it, but also have that feeling within yourself. Any words you wish to say, or any words you know are needing to be said to you, allow them to take place as well.
Oh, Ariel and Ursula. For anyone who remembers The Little Mermaid, came out about 20 years ago. And it was always such a frightening song to me because Ariel wanted so badly to have feet and be a human. And of course, there was the old Prince Charming. He wasn't too bad to look at. So she traded in her voice for those things. Now, lucky for her, Ursula had things go wrong, as the bad guys often do, and Ariel got her voice back. But I'm here with the address today, and I think that Ursula got to all of us. So let me explain just a little bit. First of all, your voice is completely unique to you. I want you to hear your voice. Give yourself a little la la la. Or if you're with people and you don't want to seem crazy, just say, hi, my name is, like you're actually talking to someone. But pay attention to your voice. That's yours and yours alone. You are one of a kind. You know how they say there's no two snowflakes that are the same? There's no two voices that are the same. Your voice is lovely. You are part of an orchestra of human beings on earth, and you are very special. Kids are very self-expressed, aren't they? They use their voice, they're passionate about what they feel, and they say what's on their mind. I remember at one point I had a nephew who looked at me, bigger, looked at my skinny sister and just says, Auntie Sandy, why is it you're so big and Mama so small? And I said, well, I just eat more food. Oh, he says. And then he went off to the next thing. If you get an adult that says that to another person, you might get a slap across the face. But something happened to all of us that we are no longer as self-expressed as we were when we were kids. I remember taking a course once and they said, try on that maybe things happen when we're a kid and we make decisions about ourselves. And in this particular seminar, they wanted us to look at 3 times in our life that we remember that things went wrong. And for me, you might want to think about your things, but for me, my earliest memory of things going wrong was Disneyland, 4 years old. I had bad vision. Of course, my parents didn't know that. Next thing I look up and I'm lost, no parents in sight. I'm sure it wasn't that long before my family found me, but I still, even as a 56-year-old adult, can remember fear of being lost. And if I'm with a group of people, I've been with my friends on the Sunday gathering here to Disney. Believe me, I always keep an eye out where people are. I never like to be lost. Another thing that happened to me was when I was a kid having this bad vision, no one wanted me for their sports team. I'd always be the last kid to be picked. Pretty sad, huh? Well, yeah, that was me. And then around in the teenage years, my heart got broken really bad. My boyfriend, my love, my true love, he dumped me for my best friend. Awful. Yes, awful. However, the seminar said to just try on that kids make judgments about themselves, and those judgments hold true forever. What kind of a judgment might a little kid make who's lost? And we all have things that resonate with us, whether we feel like I don't matter, or I'm not smart enough, those kind of statements. Well, there's some statements that really resonate to me in my life. Whether they came from these instances or not, I don't know. But someone who would be lost and not have their siblings be lost could label themselves as unlovable. Unlovable. And I know you guys think I'm just the most lovable creature. I know what you're thinking. But inside, there are many of us, I know I'm not alone, that have that I'm unlovable. Not being picked for a sports team, I don't matter, right? Not good enough. And then same thing with the boyfriend, picking my best friend. Oh, there'll always be someone better than me. Yes, as an adult, those are ridiculous things, and they don't fit who I am as a personality. But under each one of our skins, or whatever we're made up of, we all have these self-limiting beliefs that somewhere along the line we adopted. And when we're young, our brain is not fully formed, and we can take those decisions and create those as reality. I remember being at the beach once with my aunt, and some little kid was trying to fly a kite, and he was little. And I remember the mother's like, "You're so stupid, you're so stupid." And I thought, you have ruined that kid for life. He's going to go on to get many doctorates, never to feel smart because of what happened right here, right now with you on the beach. So think about it. We all have that stuff, don't we? And we would never say it to someone else. We would never tell someone they're not good enough or are not lovable. The good thing about having this internal, these comments we make about ourselves, these judgments, is what normally happens is people work very hard to prove that they are not those things. So if a teacher calls you stupid when you're little and you didn't realize you adopted this, "I'm stupid," you will go on to get many doctorates and prove that you are smart. But inside, that inner child still says you're not smart enough. So for me, the strong suits that I have naturally are adopted. And if you know me, you know these are true. I make sure everyone feels love. I do. I make sure everyone feels that they matter, and that they're good enough, and that they're special. So that's all good. And I think by nature of looking at these conversations for ourselves, we can choose if we want to believe in them in that moment. Now, I'm never gonna stop being generous and loving and playful. I mean, that's who I am, and I love that about me. But I also can feel when there's a trigger, or if there might be something that they need a speaker for, and I apply and they say no. Oh, I'm not good enough, right? I'm like, "No, Sandra, no, that's 4-year-old Sandra talking. That is not the truth." And so when we have those distinctions, we can choose to either fall victim to them or be empowered by them. And so sometimes I just have to remind myself, I'm just fine. Ladies and gentlemen, every human being that you see has the same stuff. I don't care how rich they are, how poor they are, how beautiful they are, how many muscles they have, what they appear as. Underneath it all, there's all that stuff working. So I say, be compassionate for your fellow man. Don't try to compare yourself to another. I was thinking, if you have a sharp little, smart little diesel car, right, that gets really, really, really good gas mileage, and then you've got a Lamborghini, some $200,000 car. Could you imagine these cars looking at each other? The Lamborghini going, "Oh, to be that small. Oh, to be that compact. Oh, to get such good gas mileage. Oh, I would just love to be that smart little diesel car." And then the diesel car is looking, "Oh, that beautiful Italian Lamborghini. Oh, it's so sexy, so beautiful. Oh, listen to the sound of that engine. Oh, to be the Lamborghini." we're never happy with who we are. If you're going to compare yourself with who you were yesterday. Don't compare yourself with another person. Remember the cars. Don't do that. I want to tell you just a quick story of one of the times I found my voice, and that's when I wrote my book. This book here called We Don't Die. And it'll be 10 years old in the spring. I came to believe at a certain point that I knew a lot of information about the afterlife, and I knew a lot of information about grief, and I just couldn't keep it inside any longer. And so I decided to take a workshop called Author 101 University, a weekend workshop out in California, to learn how to write a book and get it published. And I remember checking into the hotel, and my nerves were through the roof. I was so scared. I honest to God, I remember getting on the elevator to go to the conference room and pressing the button, for the lower level for the conference room. And everything inside of me said, I have no business being there. I'm not smart enough. I don't know big words to write a book. Other people, that's meant for other people, but I am definitely not good enough. I don't matter to do this. But something said, no, I'm gonna keep on going. And while I was there, I ended up meeting a publisher. He asked me what I was there for. And long story short, I decided I could either be courageous and tell him my story, or I could lie. That was my second option. But I did. I decided to tell him. And I think everybody here knows if you might get a funny look if you start talking about the afterlife with some people. I was definitely a person who didn't believe in the afterlife. I didn't believe in anything spiritual. And I thought, for me to have this message, I thought everybody's going to think I'm crazy. They're going to think I'm one of those crazy people. But anyways, this publisher really liked what I had to say. It touched his heart because his own father had just passed and my father had passed. And that's what made me really want to do this. Your words matter is what I'm trying to say. And I knew mine deep down, they mattered. But it wasn't until I wrote the book and they did a fast forward to get it published, because they said, Sandra, you could help so many people with these words, not only about believing in the afterlife, but more importantly, helping people through grief and get back into life. But when that book came, I got a case of them, right? So this book, imagine opening a box, big case of them. And I thought, how in the world am I going to tell the people in my life that I just wrote this book on this topic? I was petrified. Now, my mom knew about it and she read it and she cried, and I dedicated it to her. And she says, you're going to change lives. You are. But being in a community, my mom and I owned a business catering for race car teams for over 30 years. That community just knew me as Sandra who made the good brownies. Remember my brownie recipe from a few weeks ago, maybe? And so to have this voice that's saying, I believe in the afterlife. And I didn't know this was going to happen, but one of the race car drivers' fathers made a huge banner that says, do you believe in the afterlife? Sandra Champlain says yes, and posted that inside of our food tent. And my inner child was frightened that I was going to lose friends and community, and that people would think I was crazy. And just the opposite happened. There were some people that gave it a look and just never asked me questions, but most people said, why did you write this? Or I had a lady there who had just been diagnosed with breast cancer. One of the crew members, his father had passed. Another crew member, his child had passed. And so I started engaging in these conversations because I chose to open my mouth and share my voice. It was a scary time and a good time because I realized that the voice matters, our voice matters. In fact, last night, I actually dreamt that I was at a huge conference with all these people. And I don't know where this dream came from. Maybe it was Kerry asking me to do the address and thinking about this. But with my loudest voice, I was telling everyone that most of the people on planet Earth actually do believe in the afterlife. Over 70% of people that do. But we each have this voice inside of us that has us be afraid. And we're afraid of what other people think about us or might think about us. So we keep quiet. Well, in my dreams, I'm yelling at the top of my lungs, folks, we all believe in the afterlife. If you just share your beliefs, we're going to get along great here and we're going to have a lot of fun. You know, it was a little bit crazy, but it was the truth. I think that everyone would like to be living in a world where people could openly share they come to this great Sunday gathering every week, or I've just seen a medium, or I'm taking a class in mediumship or psychic abilities, or whatever that is for you, to be open about it and not worry about what other people think. But it takes having that voice. It takes taking a risk. It really does. So like that shell that Ursula had Ariel's voice packed in, I'm just saying, if you can look back on your life, and if you can't pick 3 instances that went wrong in your life, that's no big deal. But if any of those terms seem to resonate with you, not good enough, not smart enough, unlovable, those are all things made by children. And we love children, but I'm asking to just break free. Use that voice. You are special, you are one of a kind, and your words matter. Sometimes you get caught up in doing what other people think you should do. There's no right way or wrong way to live life. There's no easy way. I think living life is the hardest part of our adventure as a soul. Without risk, there's no reward. That's what my dad always said. Kerry and Phil say, do one hard thing every day. Neil Donald Walsh talks about your comfort zone, and your dreams coming true are outside of that comfort zone. That little voice in our head wants us to play small. I talked to a surgeon once, actually an anesthesiologist, and he had put so many people asleep before having operations. And he says that people, yes, they're afraid often of dying, but they're more afraid of the things that they didn't do, conversations they didn't have, times when they didn't take a risk. They didn't want to leave this earth having those regrets. So it takes honoring that voice, honoring that inner child, honoring whatever you're passionate about. Go for it. Who cares if people think you are crazy? Honest to God, I never thought there'd be the Sunday gathering. I never thought I'd meet people like Kerry and Phil and Darren and Scott and so many of you guys. I never thought I'd have a book. I never thought I'd do many of the things I've done. I'm still me. I still have those same internal thoughts. But life is a whole heck of a lot richer by using my voice. You can't make everybody happy, and I don't think you should try. I don't. But open your mouth. Be who you are. And guess what? There'll be lines of people who just want to be your friend. It's so much easier to be you than to try to be somebody else. You are unique, you're special, and you have that lovely voice, which I hope you listen to today and hear it, because you are special. The last thing I want to share with you is some of the people with the most powerful voices have them because they are the best listeners. There is magic, and I mean pure magic, in being a listener. People can fall in love with you because of how much you listen, never knowing it. It is the best gift you can give someone else. Let them use their voice. Let them share. Ask them questions about who they are. Let them feel self-expressed and just listen. There's no need to try to contemplate what you're going to say next. There's magic that happens when you can allow yourself to be 100% present. That inner wisdom just sneaks on in, comes right out. When you're so present with another person, those right words fall right out of your mouth. And you think, where did that come from? You're tapped into your soul, my friend. Which brings us to where we're going next, which is our demonstration of mediumship. You cannot be a medium without being a good listener. Kerry and Phil are our mediums today. And if they spent the next however many minutes thinking about themselves, their worries, and we all have them, but you wouldn't get to see a medium demonstration. Kerry and Phil are filled with love for humanity, both you guys, all of us living, and those who no longer have a voice. Those are our friends in the spirit world. So they get to bring people's voices alive again, to let us all know that our loved ones are still here. They're still alive. They're still part of our lives, and we will see them again. Our medium demonstration is always so joyful. People, when they're in the unseen world, as Darren calls it, healthy, whole, well, happy, none of that negative voice that we can have here on earth. They're just pure love and they love us. Yes, they get to keep their sense of humor too, because we often see that come out. So Kerry and Phil have really learned how to listen with all of their senses and be able to give people that voice again. And I'll never forget Kerry talking about being a medium. And of course, she loves us, people, living and breathing. But to give that voice to someone who no longer has one, I mean, there's no bigger gift than that. And what that means for all of us is that we know our loved ones are still around, and we know that we can never die. That's good news. It really is. So with that, we're going to move into our demonstration of mediumship. Kerry and Phil are both longtime mediums, and they also teach our psychic and mediumship and more classes that we do online. And they have a commitment to humanity, as I said. A spirit person will come to them. Now, how that all happens, I'm not sure. But while there are myself, Kerry, Phil, and Darren that are working on behalf of you guys, there's a team in the spirit world that's working on behalf of the spirit world. So all of our loved ones are around. They'll let a handful of individuals come forward, and they'll work with Kerry and Phil. The first thing you'll hear them say is a few bits of information about the person that has contacted them. And I know we have some people that are with us for their first time today. So we want you to really listen in. The spirit world knows who's here, even though we may just be people from all over the world tuned into computer screens and laptops and iPads and iPhones and tablets and such. They know who's here. Kerry and Phil will give a few initial bits of information. If you can understand 100% of that information as somebody you know that no longer walks this earth, we want you to press your raise hand button. Now this is the time where everybody gets to find it. Oh, Nancy, you're already on it. Find that raise hand button wherever it is on your device, ladies and gentlemen. Just press it, see what happens. Even if you know what happens, it's still always fun to press. I'm going to press it too. Yes, I will. And now it will say lower hand. So you can press lower hand and your hand will go down. Sometimes it takes a few minutes to distinguish who the spirit person is here to give a message to. But once we get it down to one hand, we will ask you to unmute yourself, which you do not see an unmute button just yet. I have to press something on my side. And if you are one of the people that works with Kerry and Phil, your only job is to say yes, no, or I don't know to the information that they give you. we human beings get very excited and we want to share. We want to share all about our loved ones and our memories. But we want everyone in our Sunday gathering to know that it's Kerry and Phil working with your loved ones. It's not you giving the information. So I just ask everyone, if you work with Kerry and Phil or any medium ever in the world, keep them on their toes to say yes, no, or I don't know. That's pretty much how it works. Now, obviously, we always have a good sized group here in the Sunday gathering, and there's just a handful of our spirit people that come through, but they're here on behalf of all of us. So if you don't get a reading today, please know your loved one is standing right there with you. And please listen to the messages that come through, because so often you can take a little of that for yourself. So we're going to go into a song just prior to our demonstration, and the song is called Brave. And that is a good opportunity to think of using that powerful voice of yours. And then we'll be back with Kerry and Phil. I always take this time to imagine my loved ones are right here in this room with me. And they are. So it's a good place to put your mind. So let me play our song, Brave, and then we will be right back. Well, we're back with Kerry MacLeod. Hello, Kerry.
Hello, Sandra. What a lovely address. Thank you very much, Sandra. And Darren, again, I was thinking just there about the reading you did. So thank you. They've both just blended into each other perfectly. So welcome to those that are joining us for the first time. This is as scary as it gets. You're going to see Phil after me. And he will have, Sandra has literally just choked on her coffee. This is about having a voice, and it is our absolute delight, pleasure, and passion to have a voice and give that voice in those moments, in these moments, to you from your loved ones. So if you're with us for the first time and you didn't find your raised hand, don't be scared to push it if you understand anything that Phil and I say. So thank you very much, Sandra. I know as I begin to work with the spirit world here, I know I feel I have Dad here. I nearly said father, and he's like, no, not father. I know I have Dad here. I know that Dad would have enjoyed the winter months, because I know there's a real sense of being able to actually, just let me work with that for a second, because I know that somebody here would have memories of Dad driving in winter conditions, but I actually feel like he would have driven larger vehicles, not just cars or small vans, but I feel he would have driven large vehicles. I actually feel that he would have been able to tell you stories about him driving in ice and snow conditions. And I do feel I'm reaching out for daughter. Would that make sense to somebody in our audience?
This is our time to raise your hand if you understand this information. And we have a couple of 3, 4 ladies with their hands raised, Kerry.
Really? Goodness.
Yes.
Okay. Then one of our ladies understands their dad having quite a wicked sense of humor, in that they might not have always been able to tell fact from fiction when Dad was telling these stories, but I do know that he did indeed drive a larger vehicle in cold conditions, and he must have done this as part of his work, his job.
All right. Ladies, I'm going to lower your hands. If you can take every bit of that information, put your hand back up, please. Every bit. Drove large vehicles for work. Oh, we still have 2 hands raised.
Okay, then one of our lovely ladies would understand their dad driving, we would call them articulated lorries, you might call them trucks. And I do feel it would have been longer distances, but he's a very, very capable driver. But I know you must have, I'll leave it there just now, one of them understands trucks or articulated lorries.
All right, thank you very much. Now, Karen and Tricia still have your hands raised. We've had them up since the beginning, and put them back up.
Okay, then you would have known that Dad would have called you from some of those trips when he was away from home, because I feel like you would have had conversations with him, and you would also know his what do you call it, call name or signature?
We have, well, Karen, you just lowered your hand. You were the last hand up. Just when you said the call signature, that's when the hand went down. Let me just see. Karen, if you'd like to raise your hand again. All right. My instinct is, Karen, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome.
Hi, Karen. So
Um,
you would have actually received calls from your dad when he was out working.
He would not, no.
Then you would have heard story. I do feel like you would have known and spoken to him whilst he was driving away from home.
Sometimes.
Okay, then he would have told you some stories about how his day was going and what experiences he had had.
Yes.
Okay, because I know there's this, I want to talk to my daughter and I want to give her an update on where I am and what I'm doing.
Oh.
I know that your dad would have been very clear about the information that he wanted to give you, because he would not have given you lots and lots and lots of detail.
Yes.
But I know that he would have maybe enhanced a point or two just to make the story a little bit more exciting.
Yes.
And you must have been asking your dad, Karen, what heaven was like.
Yes. Not the word heaven, but yes.
But what the spirit world is like.
Yes.
Because I know he wants to tell you, but I know he's exaggerating a little bit. So I'm not sure what's fact and what's fiction here. I do know that the ailments that affected your dad towards the end of his life, I do know that because there was a number of different ailments that your dad had.
Yes.
I know that none of that, and this is not fiction, this is fact. I know none of that is affecting your dad. I know that you will be able to remember his laugh.
Yeah.
Because I know there's this, I can feel his laugh. I can feel the mischievousness in the laugh and the wanting to have that conversation with you. But I know that he has given me the impression that you and him have had time together since his passing.
Yes.
You felt him with you.
Yes.
I know that you also feel you've heard what the spirit world is like.
Yes.
And I know he might have added some bells and whistles on there because you're not quite sure whether it really is like that or whether it really isn't. But I know your dad is of the impression that it doesn't matter until each of our time to get there. The spirit world will come for us all at some point. I know that you would have memories, Karen, of you and your dad and the family going specifically to the same place on holiday a number of times.
Yes.
And your dad would have driven you all there.
Yeah.
And on those drives, he would have pointed out the same thing every time you got to a certain part of the journey. The same things got highlighted.
No.
Then if that's not the case, Karen, then you must have been back to that area since your dad's passing.
Yes.
Okay, because I know he's walking me through, then that's where we did that, and that's where that happened, and that's where this happened. And so he was with you as you took that journey, Karen. It's his way of saying, I was with you. I heard you walking down memory lane. I need to also say, Karen, that your dad has this passion about life, but I know he would have had from you this sense of just being you and him at times. Because I know that he gives particular attention to you in particular.
Oh.
Do you understand what I'm meaning by that?
Yeah.
Because I know that this is his way of sharing that moment with you, because I know that there was, after his passing, Karen, there you would know within the family that words weren't said that maybe needed to have been said.
Could you say a little more?
Yes. You would know that after your dad's passing, that there should have been a coming together within the family,
Oh.
but actually that didn't happen. Those words were not shared.
Yes, yeah.
Because I know it's your dad's way of, again, saying, I see what's happening. I am with you. You've been asking me, are you with me, Dad? Are you there? Do you see what's happening? This is his way of saying, I absolutely am. I'm there, absolutely. And I know that you have thought about your dad. I know I'm very lucky my dad is still walking this earth, but I know that what I hear from people is that their thoughts of their loved ones happens on a daily basis. So that in itself is not evidence, but you must have asked your dad to look out for somebody within the family, Karen, and you must have asked him earlier on today.
Not today, but yes, recently.
Then have you just had news today, Karen, of something within the family?
Not today, recently. Yes.
Okay. Must be very recently though, Karen.
Yes.
Okay, then my mistake there, but I know this is your dad's way of saying, I hear your call for help. I will never not be there for you. I am with you more than you think, although you do get your privacy. And I absolutely am there for you. Please know that this is your dad's way of saying, I'm close by, I am there, I see, I hear. I am attending to what you need me to be attending to. I'm going to say thank you for allowing me to do that to you, Karen.
Thank you so much.
You're
Bye.
very welcome.
Bye.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Kerry.
Now I do get a sense of another gentleman here, and I do have a sense that this gentleman would be a younger man. I know we've got, I'm just trying to sort the screen here. Okay. I know I've got a younger gentleman here, and I do know that his passing was very, very quick. I do feel that this is accidental, though. I feel that there is an element of other people being around about, and I know that the ambulance crew must have spoken to the family, or somebody within that emergency services must have spoken to the family immediately after this young man's passing. And I want to see a young man. He's not mature like us, Sandra.
Thank you very much.
But he's not a young boy either. He is a young man.
Okay. We have two ladies with their hands raised, Ashley and Gloria.
And you would know what one of you would know. I have to say son. One of you would understand this to be son.
I'm going to lower your hands, ladies, just in case one went up accidentally. If you'd like to raise your hand again, press your raise hand if you can understand all the information. I know we had Gloria and Ashley. All right, Gloria, put her hand up. Juliet, you put your hand up, but you will have needed to take every bit of the information as well.
Because I know this is a quick passing, I know it's accidental, and I get the sense that this is a young grown man.
We have the two ladies with their hands raised.
Okay. And I do not feel this would have been a traffic accident. I do not wish to be within traffic accidents. I feel that this is a tragic passing, but I do know there was other people around him when he passed.
Okay, well, so what I'm looking at here, ladies and gentlemen, is more people are putting their hands up. I just want to remind everyone, just let me lower all the hands. If you can take 100% of the information, if you could put your hand back up, please. I know it's tough because we all have loved ones in the spirit world.
Would one of our ladies, I believe you said they were all ladies, would one of your ladies know that this would have been either alcohol or drugs related or a mishap with that? Because I feel like there's toxins in my body.
Okay, I'm going to lower everybody's hands again. So there's quite a number of people with their hands raised, and if you could raise your hands again. And our hearts go out with you to you for this, but we have 4 hands raised, Kerry.
Okay. So all of them, and I'm so sorry that it only has to be one of you. My heart, I can't appreciate how difficult this is. But one of you would understand Son in the spirit world. You would understand him to be a young man. I also know that there is a chemical, a drug or an alcohol affecting your son's body. And I do know there was other people around about him, and somebody in the emergency services would have spoken to you after your son's passing, just after your son's passing. That part's important.
Okay, thank you. We have Gloria and Lisa with their hands raised.
Can you bring them both in, please?
I sure can. And actually Juliet's hand. She's been with us since the beginning.
Okay,
here
if you could bring all of them in, please.
All right, ladies, if you could unmute yourselves. Thank you for everyone's patience as well.
Okay, and you all understand that your son would have had this drug or alcohol within his body that his body just couldn't cope with.
Yes.
Yes.
Juliet.
And you understand there'd be more people around about him.
Yes.
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 And
Yes,
you
it's
would
your
have
friend.
you would have spoken to the paramedic that worked on your son.
Yes.
Gloria also? Is that a yes from you?
The paramedic spoke to his dad.
Okay.
And Lisa?
I spoke to, he was in the hospital though, and he passed in the hospital. I spoke to the people
I do know it's the paramedic. And I want to say, with the paramedic, there must have been there must have been a message found from your son that you found afterwards. In Gloria and Juliet, would one of you know you found some words from your son or some words that your son wrote?
No.
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 Then would you have written some words and spoken them at his funeral?
Yes.
No.
It's
Okay.
Gloria.
Can I work for the moment with Gloria? Thanks, Juliet. Hang on in there for a second, please.
And I want to say something. It was my grandson. So if it's definitely a son, it's not me.
I've definitely got a son here, Gloria.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria.
Okay, Juliet, can I work with you for a second?
Okay.
You would know with your son, you must have been handed his, sorry to his personal details.
He's been sober for 2 to 3 months.
Oh, don't give me any information, Juliet.
Okay. He has a letter that if something happened to him, it's not my fault.
Okay, just yes or
Juliet,
please, just yes or no.
Okay.
I so want you to leave knowing this is your son.
Okay.
Don't give me any more information.
Okay.
That can't be proven. But I know there's a letter here. I also know that with your son, he had a strong sense of right and wrong with him.
Yes.
I also know that he must have been very, very protective towards you as well.
Yes.
And you must have been much shorter than your son.
Yes.
And with the photographs, everybody has photographs of their children, but you must have one specific photograph, Juliet, it's just of him, and it's kind of zoomed in on him, but he seems to be wearing some sports gear.
Yes.
Okay, but you must be able to see that photograph regularly, Juliet.
Yes.
Okay, and beside that photo, Juliet, is another photograph, is photographs of other people within your family.
Yes.
Okay, and Juliet, would you know where your son, I seem to have memories of your son playing piano or battering the keys on a piano.
No.
Then would you know very
He-
recently where there has been somebody playing the piano? It just feels like somebody not playing it properly.
He wrote music and he sang.
But you would understand this wanting to play music for you, or writing something for, or playing something for you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because he is so desperately wanting to let you know that when the paramedic spoke to you, the paramedic gave you some details of which some things didn't quite add up.
Yes.
Because I know that this is your son wanting you to trust what you know to be true.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
incredibly important that your son's voice be heard today, Juliet. I know that in being heard, there is a sense of him regaining, it's not even regaining that sense of being seen for who he is, and only a mother can do that.
Yes.
Please know that with your son, with this photograph, you must walk past this photograph to and from the kitchen or a room you're regularly in. You pass it.
Yes.
And around about this photographs, there must have been a change that you've recently made, because I know he gives me this impression that there's been one there and that he's seen it go onto a wall, or from the wall down onto the table.
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot of
Okay.
pictures all over.
Okay, and you must also have, he gives me this impression of a photo of his high school, but again, he's in sports gear.
Yes.
And I know he would have played sports when he was at school, high school, if he went to college, but I also know he was such a strong team player.
Yes.
And this is his way of saying, I am still part of that team called family.
Okay.
I have not left the family. I am still there, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally.
Okay.
I'm going to leave your son's love with you, Juliet, and say, thank you for allowing me to do that for you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Juliet.
Sandra, it's been a pleasure to be able to be the orchestrator of the theme, but I'm now going to pass this hot seat on to somebody just coming into view. Over to Phil.
Oh, thank you very much. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. I know it's hard. I know we have all loved ones there, but they are with us. They very much are part of our lives and love us. Hello, Phil.
Hello, Miss Beautiful Sandra. How are you doing?
Great, thank you.
And I hope everyone's having a wonderful time out there, and you are also beautiful as well, even though I can't see you. But there we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Kerry. It was interesting and really nice to watch you work. As I become aware of the spirit world, I know that I have Father with me, and I know Father was a teacher, and I know that he would have been, I do feel it's an English teacher as well. And I also feel with him, he would have, I'm going to use the UK, United Kingdom term here. I know he was that secondary school, so he was teaching those older children as well.
Very good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, who can understand this information for Dad? Nobody's jumping at their raise hand button, Phil.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So I'm going to stay with it because I do feel that he was a teacher. I do feel if I'm wrong with the relationship, I know I can let go, but I know I definitely have a teacher with me. I did feel it was English. I don't feel that was the only subject he taught, because I get the impression of maths and things in there as well. But I know there's a teacher that I've got with me.
Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it does not have to be Dad, but this is definitely a gentleman who is a teacher in the spirit world. If you could press your raise hand button. All right, Sunshine and Kip and Juliet have their hands raised. Okay.
So you've got a few now,
Yeah,
but I
do.
just want to check that everyone was listening at the first. Can we lower everyone's hands and see if anyone understood that with Dad?
Okay. Ladies that raised your hand just now, if it's also your father, if you could press your raise hand button. Sunshine. Thank you everyone for listening.
Okay.
Hi, Sunshine.
Hi, this is for my husband. He's standing right here.
Hi, what's your husband's name?
And
this is Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Okay.
Hello.
It's funny, as you spoke, I thought, this is not your father, this is father-in-law. So this is your father. Sorry, what was your name again?
My name's Brian.
Brian. So you understand your dad, and he was a teacher?
Yes.
But not English.
But not English, okay? But just my interpretation. Would you stand with your dad, though, that he was very passionate about his job?
Yes.
And when I say passionate, he absolutely loved inspiring people.
Yes.
And I want to say that he went over and above what he needed to do because he was very passionate about it.
Yes.
And I also know he would come home and he would tell the family about what had gone on in his day.
Definitely, yes.
Because it just feels I want to share my experiences. It feels like I want to share my passion. Now, there's something going through my mind, Brian. Would I be right in saying he also taught you?
Yes.
Because it just feels here that it's almost like I want to be teaching my own son. But would I also be right in saying coming away from school, he would have taught you things about life as well?
Yes.
Because it just feels I want to show you many different things. And it's almost like he's got such an interest and passion about life.
Yes.
And it's almost where I want to not just go where he's got a passion about life, but explain how things work and how it came about and what the history is.
Yes, definitely.
Because it just feels I want you to really appreciate things. But I also know with your dad, he would have liked different cultures and talked about them.
Yes.
And it just feels as I look at different cultures, would I be right in saying wherever we went on holiday, he would like to do a little bit of research and find out about the location and vicinity and culture as well?
Yes.
Because it just feels here. And would I be right in saying he attempted to speak different languages?
No.
No, I'm just going to stay there just for a second. Would I be right in saying he either some of the children or somebody taught him a few words that were in different languages?
Sort of, yes.
Because I know there's something really important I need to get across there, because I know he's laughing with it as well. So there must be funny stories about it.
Yes.
And it just feels that I want to, and I know Kerry talked about somebody earlier that could exaggerate some things, but I want to say your dad was a good storyteller.
Yes.
Because I feel he could captivate people as well.
Yes.
And it's funny, I know Sunshine came on and said that it's not my dad, but I want to argue a little bit because he seems to think a lot of you, Sunshine, as well. So I know he's referring to the both of you. And I know you still both speak about him very fondly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I also know he's been spoken about just recently where you've been reminiscing, going down memory lane.
Yes.
Yep.
And it feels like where you've visited, you've got memories of Dad.
Yes.
Because again, it's just, this is why I want to say Dad's larger than life and very much around you as well. Would you understand where your dad was very good with, I want to say, underprivileged children as well?
Yes. When we're talking about teaching, yes.
Yes, because I just feel here he could bring the best out of people, but I know it was, and I know this is his own perception, but I know he would have spoken about it. It's almost like he wanted to help and do more. I want to be more than just a teacher. I want to shape, I want to mold, I want to inspire young minds.
Yes, I wouldn't say young, but yes.
But I know he wants to inspire people, and it's just I want to shape them as well. It's almost like he believed in the potential of people, and he also helped them, like today's theme, find their voice.
Yes, for all people, yes.
I want to say your dad is with you both, because I just feel dad wants you to find your voice. And when I say voice, not speaking out, it's almost to find your happiness, your truth. And I know your dad's with you, trying to inspire you. And there must be travel that you, Brian, and Sunshine are talking about just recently.
Sort of, yes.
Because I know it's where I want to wish you well, and just make the most of life and enjoy and discover. In fact, I want to say something here. There must have been talk, Brian, between you and Sunshine about either going on a world trip, going to different places, whether it was just a thought or an idea some time ago.
Idea, yes.
That's fine, because I know, and I'm not predicting, he says bon voyage. So I know here that is his wish. So I'm going to leave that with you, Sunshine and Brian, and say thank you very much for allowing me to do that.
Thank you, Phil.
You're absolutely welcome. You're absolutely welcome.
Thank you.
Good. Okay. I feel I've got a few people with me here, so I'm getting a little bit confused already before I even start, which is never good, because we want to be as clear as we possibly can, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, let's just have a look. I just feel there's an argument. They're all trying to push in and get in because they're all excited to be here. All right. Oh, okay, I think so. Okay, I'm just trying to get everyone to settle. I do believe, again, I'm going down a similar vein of thought here. Would I be right in saying that somebody has mum in the spirit world? And I know also she would have worked in a school, but I feel she would have worked as a dinner lady, almost her serving and helping out around that lunchtime as well, because I just feel it's really important. But I just feel here with mum, she's very old-fashioned as well. And I get the impression that I want to, it's not her name. I know I want to be talking to somebody called Barbara. So I know I have the name Barbara. I do believe it's mother. And I do believe she either worked in a school. I feel it was a dinner lady. And I just get that impression with her.
Thank you, Phil. Barbara's not necessarily her name.
No, I just got that name coming in and it wouldn't settle with me. In fact, I'm just going to, can we bring somebody in who's just put the hand up?
Well, yes, we have Peggy that just put her hand up. Hi, Peggy. If you could press your unmute button.
Hi.
Hello, Peggy. Do you understand everything I've said?
I think so.
You think so, so far? Okay. So mum in the spirit world, her name was Barbara. Would I be right in saying that she worked in a school?
Yes.
That's fine. And would I be right in saying with your mum that she also served and helped with dinners and things at school?
Yes.
That's fine, because that's the impression. But with your mum also, I also get the impression, Peggy, that she was quite old-fashioned.
Yes.
And when I say old-fashioned, I'm not talking about old-fashioned. I just feel that she was brought up with morals and etiquette.
Yes.
And it feels where your mum could also be quite a private lady.
Yes.
And when I say private, I just feel that she wasn't one for talking or tittle-tackle or spreading gossip.
Yes.
With your mum also, would I be right in saying that she liked things to be organised?
Not sure about that.
Bear with me 1 second. It just feels that mum, let me have that for a second, Peggy. With your mum, would I be right in saying that she liked to be well presented and come across the right way?
Yes.
But where that organisation is that you said no to, I feel she tried to come across that way to other people, but I feel her home life and everything wasn't organised.
Yes.
That's fine, because I knew there was something there I just tripped myself up on, but I know it's her mindset that I want to come across, I want my appearance, and I know that I'm not saying that she worried about what people thought, but I know it was a personal thing of mum wanting to be the best that she could.
Yes.
And I also know sometimes, and I know the theme is about finding the voice, but I know sometimes mum didn't always find her voice to come across properly.
Absolutely.
And it feels I know emotionally what I want to say. It feels that deep down I know what I want, but actually voicing it was a bit of a problem at times.
Yes.
But I also know there was times where Mum wasn't happy about things around the household and wanting things sorting out.
Right. Yes.
Okay. But I also believe as well that your mum could be very personable.
Yes.
And when I say personable, I just feel where she would have sat down with you and talked about life.
Yes.
And would I be right in saying at the end, it feels like Mum, before she got too ill, I want to say, talked to you and shared her thoughts about life?
Yes.
Because it feels where I want to put the world to rights and I want to entrust in somebody, or I want to vocalize my thoughts to the one person I can really trust, which I know was you, Peggy.
Yes.
Would you understand at times, Peggy, people took advantage of your mum as well?
Absolutely.
Because it feels this is why I made that statement about she really trusted you. And I know you've been an advocate for Mum for keeping her truths.
Yes.
And would I be right in saying within the family, I'm going to be very polite here, there has been differences about what Mum shared with you and what other people thought?
Yes.
Because it feels where you've stood up for your truth, where I know Mum wanted. I also know with Mum's illness, she lost that will for the fight as well.
Yes.
And I know today you've been speaking to her within your mind.
Yes.
And I know that it was on a personal matter because she says, I'm not, in fact, she's just said, I don't need to know. All you need to know is that she knows what you've talked about and she loves you very, very much, she's just said. And I know sometimes Mum could be very good at getting you to move yourself forward or put your best foot forward.
Yes.
Because I don't believe she was pushy, but I believe she was very clever in what she would do to really help you move forward.
Yes.
I also know with your mum, she was very sentimental as well.
Yes.
And I know it was about having the family round, having the family together that really made her happy.
Yep.
And I also know she was disappointed when family members couldn't get together.
Yep. True.
But I also believe that your mum, where I said she was old-fashioned, liked the old receiving cards, and she liked to see photographs of the family as well.
Yes.
And I know there's memories where you would have sat going through photographs and photo albums with your mum.
Yes.
Because I know here it's that personal touch I want to bring in. And it's not just a case of flicking through. It's almost where you reminded Mum where she came from, what we had in life when we sat down with those photographs.
Correct.
And it's almost remember the holidays, remember the times together. And it's almost like where there was, would it be right in saying there was driving holidays as well?
Define driving.
It just feels where there was, we didn't settle in one destination. We seemed to move on.
Yeah, I could go with that.
That's fine, because I know I can't find the best words to describe, but I know it's that impression that I'm given here. But I know the reason why Mum's here is to do the same for you, Peggy, to remind you of where we've come from and where we've got to and how things are as well. And I know just recently you must have gone through those, how can I put this? Seems like Mum has watched you go through photographs yourself just recently.
Yes.
Because she says you've gone down memory lane, and I want you to know, Peggy, that she was there with you, because she says there was times when you got emotional and you wiped the tears away. She was there with you.
Yes.
And I'm going to leave your mum's love with you.
Bill, I just want to say one thing. The Barbara, that isn't my mom's name, but it's my baby sister's name. She only lived three.
That's fine. Then just let me just settle with this, because that was way back in my consciousness. That's okay. because of what I want to say. Would I be right in saying there's photographs of Barbara, though?
Yes,
And would I be right in saying these are the photographs you've looked at quite recently?
yes.
That's fine, because I just wanted to know why I made the mistake and correct it. But I want to say Mum and Barbara, your sister, are very much together. And I know they're acknowledging when you went through the photographs, and I need to relay that to you. So I'm going to leave that with you and say thank you very, very much for allowing me to do that, Peggy. It's been a true honor and pleasure.
Thank you, Phil.
You're absolutely welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, it has been an absolute pleasure to work on the Sunday gathering, to be the voice for the spirit world, but also to meet your loved ones, and to do it in such a way where we don't get to see you, we just hear you, is absolutely incredible. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll pass you back to our beloved Sandra.
Thank you very much, Phil, and Kerry behind there, and Darren, my buddy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I know that each one of us wishes our loved ones will come through, and we hope, we pray that they are with you. They really are. We would give everything we own for you to know that. Kerry, Phil, Darren, and I have been involved with afterlife and grief for quite a long time. Our loved ones are with them, or with you. Sometimes if you want to look at their picture or remember a favorite memory and just be there present, you never know. All of a sudden you might get a thought or feeling. I don't think when we transition, we're given all the information in the universe. I think it's something they learn to do. And just because they're in the spirit world, we retain our personality. So I know my little old grandmother would let everybody go before her. And that's just her personality. But keep talking to them. Pay attention to those subtle signs. They work through our imagination. Just go down memory lane with lots of love, and they are there with you. They are. So just a couple of brief announcements. One, thank you, friends who have donated to make our Sunday gathering possible. Thank you, thank you. It makes a big difference in the lives of lots of people. So we thank you for that. Coming up, if you are interested in trying your psychic and medium muscle, on November 5th, Kerry and Phil have a 5-hour course. It's on a Saturday. It is recorded. You work with other people in breakout rooms. It's called The Underlying Story. It's for new students and our current students. It gives you an opportunity to feel what it's like to hear the voice or the feelings from someone else and be able to pass those on and look at that story beneath it. This coming Friday, I'm with Scott Milligan. He does what's called In the Arms of Eternity. It's a beautiful opportunity to sit for healing, followed by a trance mediumship demonstration. Lovely experience. October 22nd and 23rd, Kerry and Phil are together for the modern day medium, for our medium students. Want to be pushed a little further, and their courses are just so great. And then if you want to meet Kerry and Phil, that first couple of days in December, they will be just west of Toronto, Canada, doing a couple of workshops and a demonstration. They are lovely people, and you can give them a great big hug from me. They will be there live and in person. So there's hotels in the area. It's a beautiful location. It'll be held at a wonderful church. It's called the Galt Gathering. I think that's it for announcements. Everything can be found at wedon'tdie.com. Just click on the store page or the at-home courses page. There's a Sunday gathering page. There's a radio show page where you can listen to past episodes of my podcast as well. So I'm going to pass it to Kerry for just some inspiring words for the week.
Thank you very much, Sandra. And it has been an absolute delight to have everybody take part in something that is incredibly important, having a voice. It's something we take for granted, perhaps, whether we use this and we use our vocal cords, whether we use our head to be able to communicate, whether we use our fingers to read Braille, or whether we use our hands to sign. Having a voice is something that we all are gifted with, but we don't always value it. Sandra's address spoke about the reasons we might sometimes undermine our own voice, or check our own voice, or do something that allows us to step over our own voice. When our own voice shows up and it's for a reason that empowers us, Generally, it's for the betterment of us and therefore the betterment of other people. When a voice shows up that is to diminish who we are, that's that little voice that Sandra spoke about, her 4-year-old voice that says to her what her truths used to be. And now Sandra knows what her truths are now. If you can allow yourself to become accustomed to what the old voice, that frightened person, what that voice says, and then reassure and hug and love and have compassion for that voice, and then step out and boldly step into something that allows you to share a truth. And you know the thing about truths? There's only your truth. We speak to so many people that say, what's the truth about life after death? Well, we often say we know somebody who's written a book about it and it's a worthwhile read. We also know people who have done podcasts and interviews on it and they're worth a listen to. But we find our truth by discarding other people's truths. But we have to listen to them. We have to listen to lots of voices for us to be able to confirm what our own is. So don't think just because you don't know your truth right now that you're not on your way to knowing it. Have a voice. Speak up for you. If you're the advocate for others, speak up for you. Find out in the week to come what you can do to share your voice. You know, your voice might just give somebody else the right to share theirs, and everybody has the right to have their voice heard. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to pass to Darren for the prayer.
Thank you for that. And thank you everyone for being here really, and allowing us to have a voice as well. So if you'd all like to close your eyes and join me for the closing prayer. We'd like to offer our sincere thanks to all our friends, brothers and sisters from across the globe for uniting here together today under the banner of We Don't Die, and allowing us all to embrace ourselves in the joy and the love that is that of the spirit world. To our dear friends, helpers and loved ones of that world we call unseen, we'd like to express our sincere thanks and gratitude for being here with us today and each and every Sunday, and allowing us to have these Sunday gatherings take place, and allowing us to feel that healing balm and hear your thoughts and your words, which allows us to leave this Sunday gathering feeling uplifted and enlightened, and taken away with us a piece of your love to go further on. We'd like to thank you for the opportunity to allow us to walk by your side, to work with your world, and to represent your world here on earth. Each and every one of us deems it an absolute joy and privilege to work on behalf of the world we call unseen, and we do this with the utmost truth and integrity. And we truly hope we have made you proud, and we do this to the best of our ability and our understanding. As we leave this Sunday gathering here today and allow the sun to set on this day and this week, we can go forward excitedly to the dawn of a new sunrise, in the comfort and knowledge to know that you continue to walk by our side, helping us, guiding us and inspiring us, and giving us the courage to express our own voice, to be the true person we're meant to be within this world. And as always, we ask that you continue to shine that healing balm across all four corners of our world, to bring the joy, the love and the happiness to all those hearts and minds that are in need at this time. As always, my friends, we thank you for your dedication and your love. Amen.
We love you. That was a young man named Mitchell who just wanted to teach us the 3 R's, using his voice. So we love you all. Thank you. Mwah. Bye.